Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to the stay-at-home book tag. This was first introduced last year during the pandemic and I didn't think I would be revisiting it, but again, here I am. So the first question on this tag, or the first prompt rather, is Laying in Bed, which is a book you could have read in a day. And for me, that was the third book in the City of Ghosts series, or the Cassidy Blake series by V.E. Schwab. This is a middle grade series about a girl named Cassidy Blake. She has a death or near-death experience, gets saved by a ghost. Now they're attached, and her parents also filmed this ghost investigating show, so they do not know that Cassidy Blake is best friends with the ghost and that she can also see ghosts and cross into the veil. They travel around the world, they film their show, Cassidy joins them, there's a whole lot of ghost shenanigans that go on as well, and this was the third installment that came out earlier this year. I wish I read it in a day, but I read it in a couple of days just because of how busy I am and my reading slump lately, but it's a middle grade, it's quite short, it's very snappy, and so it's something that I could have read in a day had I had the time to just lay in bed. The next prompt is snacking, so that is a guilty pleasure book. I don't really have many guilty pleasure books, I guess romance maybe, but I don't read too much romance, so I don't have much to pull from as an example. Recently I have ordered some more urban fantasy books, and one of them is Magic Bites in the Alona Andrews series, I think the Kate Daniels series by, I'm not sure who the author is. Either way, it's the first book in a series, and I consider it a guilty pleasure book based solely on the cover, but I know that I shouldn't really read into the cover. I've heard a synopsis described by Steph, I'll link her channel below. She's the one who has had a part in really pushing me to read this series because she's doing a read along at the moment for it, and one of my other friends has been messaging me, and the Alona Andrews series is one that she goes back and rereads quite a lot because it's just got so much reread value and emotional value and nostalgia for her, so I really want to read and enjoy the first book. That's why I ordered it, and it is on its way to me now, so at some point you'll probably see it in some kind of TBR. Prompt number 3 is Netflix, a series that you really want to start. I've been watching a lot of Netflix and a lot of binge lately, and I really need to transition back into reading instead, but the series that I'd like to start are not just these two that I'm going to name, but I may as well just put these into the video. I have a bunch of series on my TBR that I'd like to get into. One of them is Ruin of Kings, the other one is The Ninth Reign. Both of these are high adult fantasy books, and so they're going to take a bit more of my concentration to get into their world building and stuff. This one in particular, I think I've heard people say don't read the audiobook because there's a lot of moving parts, so I think details might fall out of my head if I do that. I genuinely don't know what the two of these are, so whatever books I talk about in this video, I'll link all of the GOODREADS links down there so you can go and read their blurbs if you like, because I don't know what they're about. Up next, the prompt is Deep Clean, and that is a book that has been on your TBR for ages, and I recently finished the second Wheel of Time book, so I can no longer say that anymore. So the book that has been on several TBR lists and I just have not been getting to for whatever reason is Caliban's War, and this is the second book in the Leviathan Wakes, or the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. It has a whole TV show about it too, and I just subscribed to Amazon Prime, so I'm thinking that if I don't motivate myself to get to this, or maybe if I read a chapter and decide whether it's for me or not, because I gave the first book a 4 stars and I want to continue, but it's such a large scale sci-fi world that it might just be easier for me to watch it first. I'm not sure. I like watching adaptations first and then reading the books so I can get the rough scope and then a lot more detail after the fact. That might be blasphemous for a book person or an unpopular opinion for any bookish people, but for me it's just the way I roll, so hopefully I can get to this some point this year, but I don't have high hopes. So if I do get to it, I'm hoping to give it at least a 4 stars, but it's been on so many TBRs that I feel guilty even talking about it because I should have read it already. Animal Crossing is the next prompt. That is a Nintendo Switch game that I have been obsessed with, and I have clocked so many hours, like hundreds of hours in that game. It was one of my staples last year in lockdown, and in this lockdown I've played it a little bit, but not as much because I've built up a lot of my town. Anyway, the one that I want to talk about for this is the Dresden Files series. So this is one of the latest books that I bought. It's not the newest book that I've bought because those are in the mail on their way to me, but I did order a short story collection in this world. I think it's book 15 and a half, but I can't remember what it's called. I know one of the short story collections is Side Jobs, but obviously I've read that, so I don't think it's that one, but there is another one that I ordered as well. I think they're both in the same order actually. Either way, I ordered more Dresden books and I'm looking forward to it. After that is Facetime, which is a book that you were gifted, and I have not been gifted books in a long time. I tend to buy them myself because I know what I want to read, and I don't have a birthday coming up. My birthday was in May, and then obviously Christmas is a little bit far in the future, so I haven't given out wish lists to anybody or like my family or anything. So I'm in like an in-between phase when it comes to gifting books. I'm just gonna gift them all to myself in the meantime. I missed a prompt, so the one before Deep Clean was Productivity, which is a book that you learned from or one that had an impact on you. And this prompt doesn't specify if it's a good or bad impact. So I'm just going to cite The Great Hunt, which was a 2 out of 5 stars for me, and I have a separate review for it. The second Wheel of Time book, it took me 6 months to read. Essentially, that's all you need to know about it after I loved the first book. I bang on about this in several videos, but honestly, I'm just happy that I managed to finish such a behemoth in the reading slump that I'm in. So I'm going to keep talking about it because it's kind of a personal achievement. Now there are 2 things left. So the second last one is self-care, which is what is one thing that you have done lately to look after yourself. One of those things is I got Macca's, which is not really looking after myself, but it really appealed to my self-gratification. So I guess it's kind of looking after myself in one way, but probably not looking after myself physically. But you know, sometimes we've just got to have days where we treat ourselves, and that's okay. And then the last prompt on this list is called Bonus, which is a book coming out soon. And for me, this month in September, there is a Joe Abercrombie book coming out. It's actually the last book in this trilogy that is coming out. A Little Hatred is the first book, A Trouble with Peace is the second, and then I think it's A Wisdom for Crowds or The Wisdom for Crowds, which is the third book. And I listen to the audiobooks for that, so as soon as it is released, it's going to come straight to my Audible. But that is the end of this book tag, so if you would like to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. Come and chat to me down below in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But thank you again so much for watching this video. I'll chat to you down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.